Hey, this is Steve Bloom, and you are listening to the Geekcast Radio Network.
You're tuned in to Steve Megatron on Altered Geek.
Hello and welcome to Altered Geek. I'm your host, Steve Megatron Phillips. Joining me in this adventure into geekdom is...
Hi, I'm Mike, and I'm a retired podcaster.
TFG1 Mike.
That's right.
He's not retired.
I'm retired.
No, you're not.
I record one podcast a week, whereas last year I was recording about 7 a week. So, yeah, I'm semi-retired.
Okay.
Anyway.
You're pretend retired. So... So it's another week of lockdown, world edition, or the video, or the board game pandemic. Take your, choice there. But on lighter notes, other than the fact that I read that AMC theaters may have to declare bankruptcy.
Yeah, I read that.
Because they went from like an A- on the Better Business Bureau to like a CC. Or something, like triple C or something. So,
jeez,
because of this whole thing, it's like, honestly, they should have just paused all payments.
Yeah,
worldwide, like just no payments, like unless you physically buy something. Like no rent, no,
Yep.
But yeah, the government should have, instead of giving everybody $2,000, should have just paid everybody's rent for the next, during the shutdown.
Okay, so this is coming from my wife, Karen. She told me tonight, as of Tuesday, April 7th, 2020, that supposedly they're doing... The stimulus checks are going to be a part of basically a tax write-off kind of thing, is what she said.
Oh,
basically, if you get the stimulus check and you file taxes next year and you don't, I don't know, it's some
they'll
weird
take it
thing.
back from you.
Yeah, basically. I'm like,
it's a loan.
Yeah, it's like, here's the thing, okay? I've done payday loans before. I'm sure everybody has. I'm sure you have at some point, have done a payday loan through a pawn shop or whatever, where, you're short on cash for 2 weeks or whatever it is in between your paychecks, and then they get your information, whatever else, you pay it back in 2 weeks, or in my case, a month-to-month basis on Social Security. So, that's essentially what this is too. And I'm like, the American people at this point need help. They have no jobs. Most of them have no jobs because most of them had non-essential jobs, according to the government.
Well, and I get it from the stance of they're trying to flatten the curve, as it were. The only problem I have with that is they're screwing the entire world.
Yeah,
the economy is going to be garbage when we get out of this.
And yeah, I really don't want to drag this episode down with all of that, but because I know this is your show and we need to talk about this anyway, but it's just crazy. Like, okay, look at me. All right. I was born disabled. So my disabilities include a missing piece of my brain. Quite literally, it did not grow when I was inside my mother. I have a mild case of cerebral palsy. I have dexterity issues. I have mobility issues. I had to have brain surgery. Next, 29 days from now will be 1 year since I had brain surgery. Oh my crap, where did this year go? And I've been on SSI, Supplemental Security Income, my whole life. I have worked here and there. I haven't. Look at the last 11 years and what I've done with GCRN and what we've created. It's not that I don't have work ethic. It's just the jobs that I'm qualified for. I either have to stand 8 hours a day or I have to do something that I'm not qualified to do, kind of thing.
True.
So for me, it's like, do I want free money? Yes, everybody wants free money. But here's the thing. I don't believe I'm entitled to anything. If they give it to me, great. Absolutely, I will take the help. But I see it as it needs to be help for those who can't help themselves. It does not need to be something that I should have to pay back the government.
No, it's kind of like being laid off and then being on unemployment, and then they heavily tax you when you file your taxes.
Yeah, kind of. It's a crazy world we're living in, and I've seen so many stories, and this just boggles my mind. I've been waiting. I'm not okay. I'm gonna
pull a mic, and I'm gonna say this reminds me of Milo Murphy's world.
That's right, Milo Murphy's Law.
It's my world, and we're all living in it.
Living in it. Yep.
Whatever can go wrong will.
Pretty much, yeah. I know you and your wife and your family have your religious and spiritual beliefs and whatever else, but I have been waiting my whole life, because I'm spiritual, but I'm not I don't do the whole church thing. It's just, I'd read quite literally on Sundays in the 90s, I was at home in the afternoon watching reruns of classic Star Trek on CBS or whatever station it ran on in the 90s versus being at church. I'm just not a church person. Having said that, I've been waiting my whole life for churches to just be closed. And yet I see I see 5 articles a day lately where pastors in whatever states or whatever, we're going to open the church up to everybody. There's a no...
Yeah, those people are just pushing the envelope because it...
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to get overly religious, but
right.
if you follow the teachings that are in it, it's twofold. It's go and make disciples. And, obviously with following the commandments and everything else, which nobody does. And there's the other side of things, which is you don't supersede the law as long as it's not preventing you from practicing your beliefs.
Right.
Which... it's a common sense thing. It's like the thing with the taxes where they, the parable of the taxes kind of thing where it's like, well, you pay Caesar what Caesar's and God's what's God's with the taxes. Like, you don't try and stiff the government because it's, a different entity. It's like, no, you live in it. You do, Anyways, what I'm trying to get with that is if they tell you to be closed, it doesn't say you can't have church. You just cannot.
Right.
Congregate in the building. So like what we're doing in Colorado is they're all closed. We're all doing Zoom meetings.
Exactly. You can do online sermons.
And live streaming. And nothing has changed. It's just there's not an audience. Like, yes, there are your 10 people that are in the church that are running the service, but there's nobody there. So they're looking at a screen and looking at the feedback on Facebook.
Yeah, exactly. And there's nothing wrong with that. You're still getting your message out. You're still getting the message out. So, but like some of these people...
Those people are just purposely trying to push the envelope, and they're clearly not getting... it's like, okay, knucklehead, you do have to listen to the government in that instance. It's not like they're saying you cannot legally practice your beliefs. They're saying you cannot congregate right now.
Yeah.
Until this blows over, and then you can go back to normal.
Exactly. And then there are the complete... Okay, I'm just going to say it. You can beep it if you want. I know you probably won't, but I'm not going to pull a Dodd, but I'm just going to say then there are these dumbasses out there licking ice cream, going around stores saying they have the coronavirus and coughing on people and whatever. Like, oh my God. Those
people are just inconsiderate fools that are
They're
purposely...
inconsiderate fools, but it's like, really? You want to go to jail? Really? Yeah.
It's like they allow you to go to the grocery store. They allow you to, go to the gas station. They allow you to go for a walk, in the neighborhood or in the park or at, just as long as you're not on playground equipment or any of that kind of stuff. But
right.
It's not Now, whether they relinquish the control after all of this, that's what will be telling one way or another. But as long as everything kind of goes back to normal afterward, I don't see any of this being a big problem. So, it's and they're saying that we're getting close to being on the other side of the hump. So they're saying by like May we should be starting seeing things open back up. So
maybe I personally, if the bad stuff keeps happening and people keep making it worse, I've told my wife, I said I don't foresee any of this stopping before Christmas.
Well, the thing that'll happen then is that it'll completely tank every business because none of them can survive without being able to go to a building and work. Like it will shut down the supply chain. There will be nothing left. And so they're going to have to hedge their bets and just let people out.
Kind of like the toilet paper aisle.
Otherwise, it's going to be complete anarchy. Like, really, any of these movies that are dystopian.
Demolition Man. Yeah.
I mean, you're going to end up with a bunch of people that are it's going to be complete anarchy after, the summer is done because people are just not going to deal with it anymore. They're going to become just kind of... Anyways, we've boat long enough. Yeah. So funny thing that kind of popped up over this last week, and I don't know if you saw it or not, the Queen of England.
Yes, I did.
Okay, she got on television in a green dress, which is not very bright on broadcasting.
Well, at least she wasn't in front of a chroma key screen.
Then they could have made her a floating head. Like the Pee Wee Herman thing where like his head like bounces along the words.
Oh yeah.
So anyways, either way, you could still kind of do that. But people were having fun with it on Twitter, and they put like a crazy cat picture on there, a dog, Iron Maiden. They put Ministry of Silly Walks. They put the season 1 Star Trek The Next Generation uniform on her, which that one seems to have hit the main target. Wow. Like that one is the one that is just everywhere. And somebody was like, they should have just put her in an admiral's uniform. Because she's in just a regular Starfleet uniform, but it's still funny, and then they've put her in all kinds of things, like Animal Crossing, or me before I drink tea in the morning, it's got a picture of Baby Yoda, or just literally any animal picture under the sun. So it's quite humorous. Somebody actually, I guess she wore a green one too, like on another occasion, like on like an open car ride.
Okay.
And I just saw this one. It hit today, that's why. She's wearing green, and they Photoshop pizza on her, so it looks like she's wearing a pizza suit. Wow. But I mean, it is crazy when you stop to think about it.
Here's my thing, okay? And I'm not going to go too far into this and whatever else, but compare what the Queen said to everything our leader has said. Everything I see Trump doing, everything I see videos of him talking, like somebody asks him a serious question. Instead of actually answering the question, he'll attack that person or attack their news organization that they're from. Meanwhile, the Queen, whether she wrote it or not, whoever wrote the speech for her that she made, like, that gives me more hope than anything Trump has said.
Well, yeah,
when people have asked him how would he not necessarily soothe, but how would he help the American people understand this and whatever else.
Well, my thing is when he doesn't read the teleprompter, it doesn't bode well for him. But the same token, they can say all they want, like anything. It doesn't fix the problem. It's like,
No, it doesn't fix the problem, but we need hope and positivity more than negativity.
And I get that, but and I'm not defending him either, because like I don't know what he said, because honestly I don't watch any politician because they're all full of crap.
They are, yeah.
Every single one of them. So it's an equal opportunity dislike. I don't like any of them, so I don't pay attention to any of them, because they're all needing to be voted out. Everyone that's in now needs to be gone. Yes, they are doing what they quote unquote need to do as far as some of the stuff for the economy, but it's not helping stuff. So, but yeah, so it's funny when you keep scrolling down and she's just got, whether it's advertisements or actors or animals, somebody actually inverted her head back upon itself. On one, they put a various Queen, like a Queen card or like the Queen music group on her shirt.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's. I mean, in all honesty, it's in a word disrespectful. But
yeah,
and everybody's taking it in good stride. Like as far as making fun of her for wearing that. But you know, I don't know. It's just funny how like on this side of the pond, everyone makes fun of everyone, like and gets offended. But on that side of the pond, nobody's offended. They're like, oh, she's an old lady. We're green. Bad Photoshop idea, lady. But other things that are kind of funny about this whole time anyway is they what was it? And this happened in Toronto. Someone was projecting video games on a Toronto apartment building. I don't know. If
I saw that. Yeah, I was one of the ones that shared it. Yep. I think that is by far the most inventive way of getting away with playing, and you're providing entertainment for the neighborhood. They don't even have to get on, they don't even have to use internet for Twitch or anything. It's exactly.
They can watch, you know, Mario Kart or Bubble Bobble on the side of a building.
And then there's the fact that apparently it took a pandemic to get LA to have the cleanest air in over a generation.
Well, it also doesn't help that there are way too many people congregated there.
True.
And the same thing happens with, you know, Chicago or New York.
Yeah.
It just didn't need to be that bad in any way, but because people just, you know, well, let's put it this way. There's a lot of businesses that people could work from home and can't.
Yeah.
So, like, I kind of get it. You know, if you have to go to work, you have to go to work. But, like, there's a lot of instances where people could work from home and the business just doesn't do that. Mine's kind of hit and miss. Like, I could realistically work from home, like, half the week and then the other half be in the office. So it's kind of a... like, I mean, I don't care either way, but it's... You know, in that instance, or businesses could, instead of having 5 days a week, 6 days a week, 7 days a week, you know, maybe 4, like where I work, like we work Monday through Thursday, and that's it. The rest of the week is yours, which could be beneficial to the whole world if it went that way. You know, you work 4 10-hour days, boom, you're done. Yeah, what was the other thing? Oh, there was a lady that accidentally turned herself into a potato.
My God.
They were having, where was it? It says, millennials were told we could be anything, so she became a potato. It was like a political director at People for the American Way. It was for like Latinas or whatever, for progressive candidates and elections and stuff. So anyways, they were doing a virtual happy hour for community leaders, and it turns out that the person accidentally downloaded some funny filters to use during these happy hours. The problem is she forgot that she had done that. And then the Monday morning meeting where they try and do camera, when they started the meeting, they said they saw her as a potato. And like eyes, mouth, and potato. Like it looked like a Diglett, so people were from Pokemon, so they were like photoshopping it as like Diglett.
Wow.
And she was like, I was so confused as to why it was a potato. Of all the things, why a potato?
Potato.
And so she was trying to fix it and says, I just gave up state of potato for the rest of the call. And then if they have like screenshots like of her colleagues that had screenshotted her, and they're like trying not to laugh the whole time and looking down and away from the camera so that they're not looking at her. But it was funny because it went viral and everything.
Yeah, I had a pizza on my face at one point.
That's funny, actually.
It was a Facebook Messenger picture emoji thing. It was weird. All right, so let's see here. Legend of the White Dragon. The White Dragon is back. So I believe, let me just double check this because I know they had another campaign. White Dragon. Okay, so originally last year, Bat in the Sun, along with Jason David Frank, Johnny Young Bosch, launched on Kickstarter Legend of the White Dragon. The funding was unsuccessful, sadly. It ended on August 11th of last year. Well, recently I noticed that it was back. And I'm like, really? It's back? They made the funding this time. So now it's all about stretch goals to figure out what this is going to be and whatever. The video basically says that JDF is either going to make it a feature-length film or a mini TV series kind of thing. They don't know. Right now they are at 1,440 backers, 49 days to go, $132,109 raised. So they had a goal of $100,000, and they made that. And I'm really excited about this because when they first announced this last year, I'm like, ooh, that looks really cool.
Yeah, and for $5 you can get your name in the credits.
Mm-hmm. For anyone that doesn't know, Bat in the Sun are the people behind Superpower Beatdown and things like that. They do really, really good work, and I still watch the original trailer to this that's on the original campaign, and it is so good. Although I don't know why Adam is in the pink costume. Anyway.
He felt like changing designs for once.
I guess. No, but I think that's going to be really cool once they actually eventually get it done, kind of thing. So
I like the whole dystopian feel to it.
Yeah.
And then kind of complete, like kind of picks up, like it makes you feel like it's decades later. Mm-hmm. Of Tommy, and you know he's almost kind of like that whole future timeline of the comic.
Yep.
But I'm definitely interested in this.
Yeah. I mean, $5 is just, you know, I know not a lot of us have $5 right now, but just to get your name in the credits or just to be able to see the film.
Well, like that's not to get the film though. $20.
Well, true. That is
$20 is the lowest one to get the digital download of the series / film. You get a digital download of the original soundtrack, the download of the script and the poster, and name in the credits, and 6 digital backgrounds.
Yeah. I wish that they would say who's doing the soundtrack, because I hope to God it's Ron Wasserman.
That would be actually really cool.
Yeah.
He did
the score behind Shattered Grid. He did the music for Kyle Higgins' Shattered Grid video that they put out with Tommy in there as Lord Draken.
It says that they hit their goal in the first 5 days.
Yeah, they did.
which is insane. I think it's because everybody's home, so everybody's more aware of things.
And everybody wants something. Like, look, I mentioned this somewhere else. I forget where it is, but I mentioned it to somebody else. We all need entertainment. Whatever entertainment you love, whatever entertainment, whatever you consider your entertainment, video games, comics, movies, TV, cartoons, newspapers, whatever you want to read or whatever, we all need entertainment right now because we're all, I'm used to being home, so it's no, it's not really any different for me, but most people get up, go to work, come home, eat dinner, maybe watch Wheel of Fortune or Jeopardy and maybe one episode of a show, put your kids to bed, get up the next day and do it all over again. That's the routine. Well, now everybody in the world practically is home, so we all need something to entertain us.
Oh, yeah. And all honesty, like, it's the way the whole world is, like, and especially with production shutdown and everything, it means we're going to be dealing with reruns for about a year.
Oh, guess what? CBS. CBS is bringing back Sunday night movies.
They should, because honestly, like, they don't need to produce new stuff all the time.
Well, I think it's just in between, during this, I don't want to say downtime, but I saw a news story. I forget who I saw it from, but I did see a news story about how they were going to bring it back. It was probably my buddy Andre that shared that. But yeah.
Did you also notice that NBC Universal is going with less commercials? They said that to alleviate during this time, and also for the fact that right now commercials are irrelevant. So yeah, it's actually quite humorous. The whole thing that a lot of commercials, like, for instance, you're not going to care about plane tickets. You're not going to care about things like that. So it makes sense that a lot of commercials are just not going to show up, because really a lot of it's just totally irrelevant. Like hotels, yeah, you're not going to be you're not going to be paying anything attention to that because you can't go anywhere.
Yep.
So
it is CBS. They're going to launch Sunday Night Movie Night on May 3rd for a 5-week initial run. Tapping into the vault of corporate sibling Paramount Pictures, the night will feature 5 iconic titles from the Paramount library: Forrest Gump, Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, which is how that franchise started, now that it's marketed Indiana Jones and Indiana Jones Last Crusade, the first Tom Cruise Mission Impossible, and Titanic. On May 24th and 31st, the movies will air where original episodes of CBS's Love Island had been scheduled. The network still plans to run a second season of the reality series this summer, but with all Hollywood production on hold, as you already said, its fate is currently to be determined. So I think that's really cool, and I'm sure they have to use the TV versions because it's
Well, honestly, like I enjoy the TV versions more to some degree. Like I didn't realize, like my wife really likes Shawshank Redemption, and I really enjoy it too. However, I don't particularly care for the amount of the F-bomb that's dropped in it. Like I don't care about the other ones so much. I didn't realize how vulgar it was until we went to watch it. And I was like, I don't remember it being this, and I was like, oh, TV version. So I was like, yeah, that kind of sucks. So
Yeah,
there's no way to watch it unless I get the TV version, and so because you can't just readily get your hands on something like that.
Yeah.
It basically means that I don't get to watch the movie.
Yeah. I knew it was. I've always known it was a rated R movie, and I rated R movies from the 90s and 80s and 90s. They have a bunch of F bombs and S bombs and A bombs and whatever bombs you want to call them in them. So I always remembered, and I always watched the the theatrical version. It's funny. They just had was it the 90? Yeah, last year was the 25th anniversary of it. Karen and I went to see it in the theater. They had another one of those special limited engagement things. So I finally got to see Shawshank in the theater in its full glory, and
That's
wow.
Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's pretty brutal anyway, but it's still something cool.
Yeah, very cool.
So yeah, and as far as other things, speaking of the whole scenario with the projecting things, what was it, April 3rd, I saw Brian Kilby posting Batman the Animated Series on a projector screen in his backyard.
That's cool. Yep.
And I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, home movies in the backyard. And then he shows it later on when it's dark outside and you can see it. And he's like, much better.
Yeah. Much better. Yep.
And then he's like, time for The Last Crusade. And then he puts Indiana Jones back there.
Very cool.
It was like, yeah, that's really cool, man. This one I bet you haven't heard of.
What's that?
Two former 21st Century Fox executives charged with bribery in FIFA corruption case.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, it gets better. It's Hernan Lopez and Carlos Martinez were charged with bribing soccer officials with millions of dollars in exchange for lucrative broadcasting rights. Now, mind you, this happened while they worked there. It says that they were charged with wire fraud and money laundering and accused of using shell companies and sham consulting contracts to conceal or disguise their bribes and kickback payments over a period of more than 20 years. In return, prosecutors said that their bribes helped them obtain confidential bidding information in the U.S. broadcasting rights for Fox to the 2018 to 2022 World Cup tournaments. Lopez, who is the founder and CEO of podcast network Wondery, is the former CEO of Fox International. Now, the more interesting thing about this that I find entertaining is that the article itself or the Lopez guy that's the CEO of Wondery.
Yep.
He's the guy that's trying to start the basically the podcast, like those podcast award thing where let me see what it's still fresh enough in my feed that I can pull it up. He was the founder of the Golden Mike Awards, which he launched this whole new podcasting endeavor at January's podcast movement, and it kind of just royally upset the entire podcast industry, especially the indies. And because they're like, because this guy created it, the CEO of Wondery, and so that means a big company, not an indie, is going to be running this. Because, like, you look at Blueberry, they're a distribution platform. They're not a media company.
Right.
They do produce their own podcast, but that's just second fiddle to what they actually do. And so they even were apprehensive about the whole idea. And they do an indie podcast awards called the Podcast Awards, which has been going for 14 years now. So it's entertaining to me to see this whole thing have a colossal shutdown. And Hank Davis, the guy that does TP Entertainment, he says, I'd assume they'll either remove him from the board or shut down the entire thing. And then the other podcasters were like, personally, I'd like to see both. And, and I said, and this is why corporate bigwigs shouldn't be associated or controlling anything associated with the podcasting awards or golden mics. I have zero confidence in it anyhow, as it's another pay-to-display service, makes it almost fishy like iHeartRadio awards, where the only thing that wins are people that are these big conglomerates that can pay to shovel their way to the top. You don't see indies in there. It's always the ones that have money backing them. And so I said, it doesn't surprise me this stuff is coming out, though. Eventually, the rooster crows. And Hank's like, great points. I'll be honest by saying I would have thought of dozens of other charges before bribery. This is bonkers. His character is shot. And so another guy was like, he calls himself Pod Vader. He used to work for Spreaker. He got laid off about the same time I did from The Blaze. He's like, it's almost definitely too soon to ask, but what will this mean for Wondery and the Podcast Academy? He says, there's going to be a long trial, I'm sure, and a whole bunch of other questions. The use of shell companies is just the part I'm really intrigued with. And so yeah, I'm very, very interested in how this all plays out, because either way you look at it, it's not good.
No.
And honestly, I really didn't like the idea of the Podcast Academy, because they're like, oh, we promise it's supposed to be the world leader in podcast education.
God.
And they've revamped their website since the last time I've seen it. And they do a few online, but a lot of it's in Australia. Here, give me just a second. I'm curious to see if this costs money. Oh, they don't.
Of course it costs.
Well, no. Well, the Podcast Academy is from Australia, so it's kind of funny that this whole thing exists. But yeah, they're supposed to teach you everything you need to know to produce, launch, market, and monetize your podcast. Like, yeah, I mean, I get it. Like, and then they've got some testimonials on there and everything. But but yeah, so I don't know.
It's crazy.
Like, okay, there's a different site, but still, yeah, it says membership, Academy memberships will be accepting in spring 2020. Well, you might have to bump that one now.
Yeah.
But they're going to launch an annual awards program. So basically, they're going to nominate people that are, have money backing them. Because a lot of let me see if they even have their board of directors. They're saying that they're going to have 2-year elections of it. 9 members of the board will be voted on by members in even numbers years. 8 members of the board of governors will be voted on by the members in odd years. And then it says any active member in good standing may run for a term or something, but it's going to be people with money. Like, it's just how it is. And that they're going to charge a membership fee for this. They're saying that the benefits will host monthly webinars on topics and things like that, and basically teaching tutorials plus being eligible for their award program. But honestly, like, I don't have confidence in it, because and neither do a lot of other podcasters, because they have not disclosed who is eligible or who is on the board. And so it's already like really fishy.
Yeah, it's very sketchy.
So yeah, so nobody has much confidence in it. So if it bombs completely, this will be a bonus.
There ain't no awards like the GCRN awards.
Nope. Especially when it puts the stomp down on stuff, like IGN and stuff like that. So, so maybe we should jump to the gaming aspect.
So I want to put a little disclaimer out here first, folks, because
We're not gamers.
I know. We're not okay. I'll say this.
We're not.
We're not fully modern gamers. Like, you have a PS3, you have an Xbox 360. Do you have an Xbox One?
I actually don't have a PlayStation. I have an Xbox One that died.
Okay.
So.
Okay, so but you had a 360. You had
At one point, and a PS2 at one point.
Right. See, we're more old school gamers, folks, and that's part of this whole gaming community, I believe. You have people like Mike Booth Ninja Powers, Art Danner, who are kind of like, the modern gaming type people, and we would have loved to have brought them on this episode, but time zones and whatever.
Well, and Mike's on a sabbatical from social media too.
Oh,
I haven't even heard from him in months. He's like, "All right, peace out. I'm leaving this dirt stand."
Well, here's hoping we can get this episode to him and he'll laugh out of it. Hopefully. So, I was just going through my Google feed or something or other, or something popped up on my phone, because inevitably some sort of news story pops up on my phone, and it was from some website, but it basically directed me to the PlayStation blog. Introducing DualSense, the new wireless game controller for the PlayStation 5. The reason why I'm not a modern gamer, folks, is because of one simple thing. As I mentioned earlier in this episode, I was born with a mild case of cerebral palsy. This affects the right side of my body. My right hand and foot are smaller than my left hand and foot. I have no control over what my right hand does. My left hand controls what limited function my right hand has. So I play video games one-handed. There are pictures somewhere online with me with a Super Nintendo controller, how I usually have to hold it in my left hand. Basically, I palm the bottom of the thing. I use my thumb for buttons, X, Y, A, B, whatever they call them now. Triangle, square, circle, X, whatever it is. And then I use my ring finger and my pinky finger for the D-pad. Controllers nowadays, and controllers for the past almost 20 years, have analog sticks, and they are wider than the Super Nintendo controller. So everything is wider now. Well, I got a big left hand, but it ain't that big where I can stretch all my fingers out and plus have my thumb on the button. So that's mainly why I'm not really a modern gamer, is because the main companies that make these systems are not making controllers for disabled people. I know there are probably some third-party companies that have made I know you have said, and I know Dodd has said, and a couple other people, I think even Booth Ninja has said, Mad Cats or whomever. I'm just only throwing them out there because
Microsoft
I know
made one a while back.
Right.
So, yeah,
Excuse me.
one that was more accessible.
Right. So I love the way the DualSense looks, and I love what it says here in the article about what it's going to be. Basically, what it says is, let's see here. So they talk about how they want to improve on what the DualShock 4 did with the PS4, and how this provided them with an exciting challenge to design a new controller that builds off of the current generation while taking into account the new features that they were wanting to add. For example, with adaptive triggers, we had to consider how the components would fit into the hardware without giving it a bulky feeling. Our design team worked closely with our hardware engineers to place the triggers and actuators. The designers were then able to draw the lines of how the exterior of the controller would look and feel, with a challenge of making the controller feel smaller than it really looks. And they also talk about how, they want this to be, have an audio feel and a touch feel. It says, we had a great opportunity with the PS5 to innovate by offering game creators the ability to explore how they can heighten that feeling of immersion through our new controller. This is why we adopted haptic feedback, which adds a variety of powerful sensations you'll feel when you play, such as the slow grittiness of driving a car through mud and other examples. So they want you to be able to feel. It's called dual sense. So they want you to be able to feel what you're actually playing as in the game. And I think that's really cool. I think that's great. I think that's going to be a fun for a lot of people. Meanwhile, I'll be playing my NES and SNES Classic.
See, what's funny is I care nothing about the haptic feedback. I actually turn all of that off because I hate the controller moving. Like when I'm playing, I don't want to feel it. I just want to play the game. So, plus when that stuff's going off, it eats into your battery life when you have a remote wireless controller.
Yep. So
like if you turn it off, it's good. You're fine. There's no reason. Like it's ultimately. I get it for those that want to feel all that. I honestly could care less about having it. I think it's funny that they used to have, because I haven't followed PlayStation in a while, so I think it's funny that they used to have a share button on there, and now they have like a create button, so you can still do something similar. Yeah, it sounds like you can new ways to create epic gameplay content to share. But I don't know. I really like the design of it. It kind of gives me like that Xbox feel to it instead of that classic blocky PlayStation look that they've had for so long.
Yeah, I like the sleek design of it. I do. I like the way it looks.
I think it would be more comfortable on the hand than the PlayStation ones, which, to be honest, I like my Xbox 360 controller still. Mm-hmm. Not that it's much different from the Xbox One, but still, the fact of the matter is, like, I enjoy the fact that it's comfortable. Still, one of my favorite controllers is the GameCube one. Which is quite funny to me. But yeah, I mean, I still like the Xbox 360 as far as the controller is concerned. But yeah, I don't know. I think this is really neat, and it's a nice innovation.
Yep. So I know this is Altered Geek. This is not all things Transformers, but
I know I was gonna bring this up. Is this the thing with Neil?
No.
You didn't see that one, or you did?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
So this is
bring up yours first, and then I'll go.
Yep. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I was going in the Transformers realm anyway.
Okay. BotCon is back, folks. It's been back for a while now this year. But the BotCon official page is back up. Supposedly BotCon 2021 is happening, according to their page. But they've because we don't have March Madness this year, folks, because there's no NCAA basketball, there's no whatever for the month of March. They did the 2020 Bots and Brackets tournament. So they had all the Transformers, basically a GCRN Wars, but Bots and Brackets. And they had all the characters. They had like Evil Rodimus versus Animated Megatron or something or other. I forget what it is, but basically any Transformer character from any universe they had go up and whatever. So we're getting down to the nitty gritty. And 2 hours ago, as of this recording, the winner has been announced. It is official, as voted upon by thousands of fans over the course of the 63 matches. The winner of the 2020 Bots and Brackets tournament is none other than Optimus Prime from the Generation 1 Sunbow universe.
Oh, go figure.
There have been many of Optimus Prime's, Megatrons, Grimlocks, Starscreams, and various other characters from across dozens of timelines, but over the course of 36 years, the one variation of those characters stands out as the defining robot from the Transformers franchise. 1980's Optimus Prime is voiced by Peter Cullen. So, you know who he beat? And I actually voted. I know. I actually voted for the other guy. So in the finals, it was G1 Cartoon Optimus versus Beast Wars Dinobot. I voted for Dinobot.
I would vote Beast Wars regardless. I was mad Megatron got booted out early.
Yeah, the only way I would have voted Generation 1 is if it was like Astro Train or Soundwave or Hot Rod / Rodimus. Look, I love G1 Optimus, Cartoon Optimus. I really do. But over the years, I've come to see the flaws that he has as a character.
Yeah, well, Primal took risks. Prime was like, well, we can't do this anymore. Okay, Eeyore.
So what's your Transformers thing? What did Neil do now?
What didn't he do? I'm just joking. So he posted this thing on April 5th. You commented on it. It says, is Transformers Energon the worst Transformers series of all time? Is this a rhetorical question? Am I humorously insinuating something by posing it as a question to which I've already clearly drawn a conclusion? The answer to all these is yes. Yes. There are all sorts of reasons why I hate Transformers Energon, from the writing to the character models to the awful, awful voices Ironhide whines. But I think the show's biggest sin is the animation. To draw a contrast, watch about 5 minutes of Beast Wars, then jump over to Energon. You will notice a stark difference. And what's really bizarre about these two shows is that they were produced 8 years apart, yet Beast Wars looks a million times better, even with its plastic-looking rendering and flat texture mapping. They just look better and move more fluidly. The overall composition of Beast Wars is more dramatic. By contrast, Transformers Energon looks like you're watching an in-engine cutscene rendered on the PlayStation 2. The animation is dreadfully repetitious, as only bad looping animation can look in CGI. Character models are blocky and appear to be slavishly based on the toys, which is never a good idea. Their mouths are a flat texture rendered onto the face. Why does it look so bad? Why does an archaic CGI cartoon from 1996 look a million times better than the one made in 2004? If I really want to be mean, I'd compare it to Beast Machines, which blows Energon even further out of the water. And then he says, did I also happen to mention that Ironhide whines like a beep and is undeserving of the name Ironhide? Worst Autobot since Wheelie. And then you put Beast Wars, or Beast Machines rules. I'm rewatching it right now.
Yep.
It's I don't know. It's okay, so humorous.
I've said this before on all things Transformers over the years, since we've been podcasting and whatever else. I don't know. You still there?
Yes.
Okay. I accidentally closed the Skype window on my phone. That's not what I wanted to do. Damn it. All right. I've said this for years on all things Transformers. Fuck. What the hell?
You don't need to talk about it anymore.
Just
talk, man. You're still here.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm trying to form a thought. I know I'm still here.
You have a thought?
Yeah, I know, right? Shocker. For me personally, and I respect anyone who likes the various things. I'm not just like, ooh, Beast Wars, no, G1 forever, forget me. I'm not like that. For me, I've said this for years. Generation 1, Beast Wars, these aren't any, I'm just listing them when they came out. G1, Beast Wars, Beast Machines, animated, Prime, those 5 are the U.S. Transformers. The Unicron trilogy, to me personally, doesn't exist. That's great if other people grew up on it and they like it. You're entitled to like bad stuff. I'm a huge fan of Nickelback. Everyone else under the sun that I know hates Nickelback. It's fine. It's okay. We all can like different things. But Neil is not wrong in the fact that the quality of the Unicron trilogy, some of it specifically Energon, is bad animation.
No, I totally agree. Like, it's sad when Rid looks better.
You mean Rid 2001,
Yes.
not Rid 2015.
That
I mean, Rid 2015.
That one's not great, but it's still infinitely better.
Yeah. I have been watching, I catching episodes here and there. At some point, I probably will go back and watch the actual full seasons on YouTube. I have been watching Cyberverse a little bit, only because Hot Rod and Cheetor showed up. But it's not like anything else that's come before it, but it's not bad either. Whomever they have as Optimus, I think is probably the best Optimus Prime truck character since Peter Cullen.
Okay.
As far as how the voice is, as far as how the characterization of Optimus is, it's just really, really good, and it fits the series very well. But we'll do more stuff with that on ATTF.
Yeah, but yeah, it's still something I got to catch up on. Honestly, I watched the first season and then I kind of blipped out because I was like, it's just Bumblebee trying to remember who he is, and I don't really care about it right now because there was nobody I recognized for the most part. So it's
there isn't
anybody. Bumblebee, yippee, and then. Yeah, it just didn't resonate with me, so I kind of dropped it. I'm like, I know they're going to introduce him eventually because they made toys. But it wasn't something I cared about.
And part of the reason why I'm giving it a fair shake. I never said anything. The only thing I said about Cyberverse at first was like, the animation's not really my favorite, so I probably won't check it out, kind of thing. But I never made any reservations or judgments on whatever the story was going to be, or the characters, the voice cast, or whatever. Voice cast are pretty much all brand new people. One of them we actually know.
Who?
Mark Swint. He goes by the Engineer. He used to do Twig stuff all the time for us. Yes. And I'm friends with him on Facebook. So at some point, once we actually watch the whole series, we can have him come on and talk about stuff.
Who did he play?
Soundwave.
Really?
Yeah. Does a damn good job of it, too. I mean, it's not Frank Welker Soundwave, but it's a Soundwave that actually talks and has a voice versus just being silent.
If they ever get Megatron and Beast Wars and they don't get David K., I need to be on there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's going to be things to pay.
Yes, it's going to be... There's going to be Trump to pay. Sorry.
That was actually really good. To pay. Yeah,
yes.
That was I'll give you that.
Like I said, I've been going back and watching through. I actually just finished 26 episodes of a show that I really love. Takes me no time, and I have all the time in the world most of the time. So, but I've been watching Beast Machines for like the past. I think I finished it in 5 days. I think I finished it in the last full week here. David K., once he got to the point where he was just a spark, his Megatron got so much more sinister, and it is so good. I always knew it was so good, but I really paid attention to it this time.
Well, I honestly wouldn't mind going back and watching select episodes of Beast Wars and Beast Machines and doing commentaries on them. Mm-hmm. Only for the fact that I haven't rewatched the series recently, and I know that they have it on Tubi.
Yeah, that's where I watched it.
I still have the DVDs.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only DVDs I still own are Beast Wars and Beast Machines.
Yeah, I
don't have the Shout Factory Beast Machines, but I don't think I'm missing much because a lot of the interviews that are on the other set, I don't feel like I would get.
Mm-hmm. So,
but yeah, I mean, I'm I would be down for more Beast Wars and Beast Machines, to be honest. So,
Well,
I mean, we only did the podcast like 10 years ago, so.
I know, right?
Yes. Well. I need a soundtrack for that show.
Dude, I have... Okay, so, again, I know it's Altered Geek, but we're hitting into Transformers territory here. The Hasbro YouTube channel puts out... Because they put out this record through Every Tunes or Enjoy the Ride Records or whatever it is, Enjoy the Tunes. We did an episode of All Things Transformers about the LP release of the G1 soundtrack. And I'm like, okay, great.
Where's Beast Wars?
How about you do it digitally and not have to worry about getting an LP getting a record player and whatever else. They also have these tracks from this from the record on their YouTube channel. They do it as Transformers Soundtrack Saturdays. So I've been listening to some of those. They're fully clear, clean audio of the G1 score. Can we get Beast Wars? Can we get Beast Machine? I've been screaming for a Beast Machine score soundtrack since we started the network. I remember every time I watch that show, that music, oh my God, it is so good.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Beast Wars, and I have the rips that Brian Kilby gave me a while back. Mm-hmm. But there's still something missing, because a lot of it's ripped from audio from the episodes. Mm-hmm. So, and I still have them. I can set you up with what I have, but it's still not.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
I want
the real. I want real deal.
Yeah, clean and crisp as ever as I can get. So, because that music deserves the clean, crisp release. It does not,
Well, and then Beast Machines even wasn't all that bad.
No, that's what I'm talking about. The Beast Machines music.
I mean, it had a lot of good beats to it. I know that there were some things that I forget who scored it.
I know Phantom Planet did the main theme. I don't know if they actually did the whole score.
They did not. It was the same guy that did Beast Wars.
Okay.
Because I found it on his site a while back, and honestly, I think I talked to somebody, because I think he did some of the stuff for Reboot too. I think what happened is Mainframe owns the rights to all of it. Music, unfortunately. So they have to get permission from them, and then from Hasbro, and then in order to convert it, and Mainframe's kind of shystery anymore, so it's kind of debatable. Well, yeah, it'll go anywhere. Like, ever since they got bought up and turned to Rainmaker, like, they've been hot garbage, which is why they gave us Reboot, the Guardian Code, which is like a bad, like, I'm trying to think of the name of the show. Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad?
Oh, yeah.
It's like, it was like that, and then they bastardized the Reboot characters in one of the episodes. They're like, oh, here's your fan service, and then they had a guy that wrote an episode, and he was like, oh, you guys are stupid. Like, for, the fans just live in their basement, and yeah, it was just, the whole episode was an insult, and then they miswrote all the characters, like they were like Bob and Enzo, like Enzo and Dot were like completely cowards, and which was like totally anti how they were in the actual show. And so yeah, it was just it was not very well written. So yeah, I long way of saying I hope that they can actually get the rights and get this thing done within the next couple of years.
Yeah,
because I would love to review that.
Yeah, that would be super cool. So a meme I just saw on Facebook There is no social contact, only Zoom.
Neil said the ultimate in social distancing, and it was a picture of Ryu using the Hadoken on like one of the Street Fighter characters.
Yep.
He's like, it's the ultimate. I was like, yeah, that was pretty good. Although it's not social distancing, it's physical distancing. Like, we're all still being socially connected. Like, so it's kind of funny that they're like, oh, you can't touch people. You can't be within an arm's reach.
There's only one place out in the world that you really can't physical or social distance very well in. And that would be well, grocery stores you can. It takes you 2 hours longer because you have to avoid people. But really, like the whole 6 feet apart thing, the one store that doesn't really work well in is the Dollar Tree stores.
Yeah, I mean, I could kind of see that.
It's crazy.
I don't know. The world's destroyed.
Yes, and we're all living in it.
It's my world and we're all living in it. Yeah, I can't get that out of my head now. Yeah, so I saw, and this was just kind of the last coffin in the box here. Somebody said on Facebook, and I don't know where I saw it. It was some nerd place. Oh, I'm friends with him. Oh, man, it's a podcaster. That's probably why. I join a lot of podcast groups. He says, be thankful for the tech we have during this time. You could be having to swap these in and out to get your work e-learning done. And it shows like 9 floppy disks.
Oh, yeah.
And then somebody says, you need to upgrade to CD-ROM. It's amazing. And then they had pictures of their CD-ROMs. And then somebody else goes, I've got some spares, you know. And the other guy's like, I've got a zip disk. And somebody else is like, I've got a Jazz. He says, that's where it's at. And then somebody else puts a picture of an abacus and says, we were thinking about upgrading from this at our house.
Yeah, if something like this happened when we were growing up in the 80s, everybody would be completely effed.
Oh, yeah. People would be totally, like, not knowing what to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy for sure. And to send this out on a light note, I'm going to use another thing from Neil. He says, maybe the dumbest person I've met on the internet in a long, long time. So this guy is on a group I follow saying that the SNES PlayStation prototype is probably a fake. I could be really pedantic and ask what he means by probably, i.e. how is he determining this probability? But he got banned, it seems. So I'm left to just point and laugh at him for this. For context, his prototype was disassembled by famed modder Ben Heck, and the innards of the machine reveal that it's clearly a prototype board, complete with bodged wiring and blown capacitors. Someone would really have to go to a lot of effort to fabricate a board for a fake prototype console, especially since the console was already famous before it was opened up. To be clear, this is not the PCB of any model of retail Super Nintendo, and is definitely one of a kind. It's definitely a real prototype. Nobody could fake this. It's not possible. Oh, and it also comes from a functioning boot cartridge for the CD. So to be clear, for this to be fake, the faker would have to make a custom board from scratch and put it in the case made from oxidized plastics and artificially add prototype mistakes and insert blown capacitors and wire a CD-ROM to the console and create a working operating system. Folks, there are 9/11 conspiracies that are less elaborate than this. Yeah, so... And I've seen this thing before, so it's, I don't know.
Yeah, I have too.
I love it when Neil goes on a tirade.
Oh, yeah. As long as he's not tirading at me, I'm good. Of course, I usually end up, invoking his wrath at some point or another. I mean, hell, if I just say that I enjoy Transformers Season 4 Rebirth, he'll point out every reason why I should never love that thing. Incidentally, I just watched that on Tubi earlier today. I'm really loving Tubi lately, even though there's a couple of ads on there. Like, my whole watching of Beast Machines, I maybe watched 10 Tubi ads within 26 episodes. So that ain't bad at all for a free service. And they've got so much good stuff on there. So, yeah.
I've been watching the Geek show that's on there. With,
cool.
Bruce Campbell.
Mm-hmm.
It's Last Fan Standing.
Yep.
Because I want to see if I'm smarter than everybody else. And in most probabilities, I am. I'm sitting there going, man, they're missing this one. Man, they're missing this one. And there's like franchises I have no idea because I've never watched them, but I still know the answer somehow. Like, it just comes to me, and I'm just like, oh, bah. And then they, like, some of them, they're having to go to the audience, and I find it humorous. That'll be something funny. Oh, let's do an episode of Stump Steve. Ask a bunch of questions, and I'll answer them live on the air and not Google them beforehand. Yeah, the other thing I've been watching is Andromeda. Mm-hmm. Which is a concept
Kevin Sorbo show?
Yep, it's a concept that Gene Roddenberry, the guy that created Star Trek, came up with, and it came out in 2005, right around the time Enterprise got canceled. And his wife, Majel Roddenberry, pitched it to Sci-Fi Channel. Mm-hmm. And it looks like a Sci-Fi Channel show. I say that
except back in the day where Sci-Fi Channel shows weren't completely horrible.
You mean where they were like, oh, giant monster tarantula, or, you know.
Yeah.
Whatever they do. But anyways, I watched it, and the storyline's pretty good. And it's kind of funny because it shows this great. It's actually really funny because I didn't realize the thing with Star Trek Picard and why it bothers me and why Discovery bothers me, because they're very dystopian, and it's basically the anti of what Roddenberry created Star Trek with, and. The beautiful thing about this show is it is a dystopian future because it's called the Confederacy or something, and it's like the Federation essentially, and he goes, you know, hundreds of years in the future, and this is where I'm going to beat on Discovery for a second here, because I don't think Dodd and Alex have figured this one out yet, because it came to me just now. They have this Confederacy, and the captain gets stuck in a time warp, and he's the only one left on the ship, and then he has to retake it because these scavengers try and take his flagship ship from him 400 years in the future or 300 years in the future. Well, it's funny because Discovery Season 3 is going to take place 900 years after the era of Kirk. So what's funny about it is it's a dystopian future, because even more so than Picard, because the Federation only has 4 planets left in its Federation, which is not much different than this Roddenberry show. So I find it quite humorous that they're basically borrowing an old Gene Roddenberry plot device from the 70s and 80s that didn't amount to much except for on Andromeda, and they're recycling it for Discovery, and they're having this like highly advanced ship that, you know, is only helmed by like a certain amount of the crew, like it's not even a full complement. So it's basically the same thing. Like, so it just makes me laugh when I see stuff like that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but I enjoy Andromeda more. Granted, I haven't seen Season 3, obviously, because it's not out yet, but I don't have high hopes. So
Andromeda Season 3 isn't out yet?
No, I'm saying Discovery.
Oh, Discovery. I was like, wait a minute, Andromeda ended years ago.
Yes, it burned in the fire. But yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I'm just... Yeah. So anyways, I think that about wraps this up.
Yep.
So, anything that you would like to say before we go?
No, I don't think so.
Alrighty then. So you can get a hold of us on geekcastradio.com. Head there for all of your subscription needs for the various podcasts. On any episode post, you can find the subscription means for that podcast. You can also comment on the website. You can let us know whether you hated it, whether you liked it, and comment and give us questions because that helps us with content.
Please comment on the website, people.
Yes. And if you'd like to see more of Mike on the podcast, let us know too.
They can't see me.
Yes, I know what you're doing.
They can't see me.
There's fingers in the air. I know.
It's a whole hand, dude. They can't see me.
Yes. If he could reach through and grab you, he would.
Ew, no.
Not like that.
Physical distancing, please.
Holographic
Give me
arms
3
for a phone. All right. So until next time, get altered, get geeky with the Altered Geeks.